Hola comunidad MAP, espero que estén muy bien, yo soy Muesli y el día de hoy tenemos la dicha de tener con nosotros al ingeniero famoso de Tiny Desk y Global Concerts, Josh Rogosin.
Hola, Luis.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, muchas gracias.
That's
Para
great.
todo.
That's great. Okay, right now I'm going to be asking you some questions. They're more educational centric. So,
Sure.
My first question that I would like to ask is, first of all, I've been investigating a lot of your background, and it's very amazing. I think that I really like is this background on theater. And the first question I wanted to ask you is, from your time that you started in Ithaca College, you've worked in NPR, you've been in journalism, also in theater, and then you produced Tiny Desk, and right now you're in Global Concerts, right?
Global Sound Concerts.
Global Sounds Concert. I'm sorry. Yeah,
You're good.
Well, is there something that you once considered an audio mistake in your student times, and now you see it as part of the magic?
Sure, an audio mistake. For example, when I recorded Anderson .Paak and the Free Nationals at the Tiny Desk, I was very concerned that I couldn't get the sound of Anderson's vocal above the drum kit because he was playing very loud. I'm using a shotgun mic way over here. Yeah. And of course, he's playing drums and everything's bleeding everywhere. So I was very concerned that when it uploaded to the internet, everyone would say, "What is the audio engineer doing? Anderson .Paak's vocals are completely buried by the sound of the rim shot." And as it turns out, everyone loved the recording. No one said anything about the drums being too loud over the vocals. So that was a very happy mistake.
You've witnessed the evolution of music technology from the rise of Pro Tools, Auto-Tune, and both once seen as threats. And right now we're hearing this part of audio-generated music and audio-generated or performance-enhanced AI.
Yeah.
And, the thing that for me is very interesting is that you've been working in the part of audio in the realist kind of environment, from journalism to Tiny Desk concerts and now Global Sounds concerts. So I wanted to ask you, do you feel like we're experiencing kind of a technological deja vu, as always feeling a new threat and then we always adapt? Or do you think that this time truly is different for the industry?
No, I think it's the same. I think every time technology advances, they're just tools that creative people can use to enhance their own creativity. I don't believe that AI is going to do anything to replace musicians any more than, samples of orchestras, there's still going to be a need for that human interaction. Nothing's going to be able to replace that. And that's the kind of audio and music that I'm interested in capturing as a journalist, as opposed to as like an audio technician.
Yeah.
I'm much more interested in finding about the culture and the interactions of different people. And that's really the magic. And that can never be replaced because it's just in our DNA as animals. Yeah. We're all animals. Don't forget, Luis, we are all animals.
Yeah, right. And I'm going to make you a follow-up question of that, is that, do you think maybe you as journalists and been observing like society, or maybe will you predict that we're going to get kind of a niche on maybe AI generated music, and we're going to have this niche for people that like that, and then we're going to have music that we're going to still be loving, but more people are going to be going more or liking more the music made by humans, and we're going to have this type of music coming along? Or
that's a great question. I don't know. I like the idea of computers making music, and that's great. Like, it can be enjoyable. Maybe there'll be a radio station or a podcast that's just computer generated music. Or why don't we create a new show, Luis? It's like, yeah. Can you guess if this song was created by a computer and computerized instruments, and this song that's created by a human? And that could be like a fun little guessing game. Or we can have a new quiz show.
Yeah.
It's like, let's play 10 seconds of one song and 10 seconds of another song, and you have to guess which one was generated by AI. I think, AI is going to be very useful for, producers of television and commercials and advertising, where they don't want to pay a lot of money, but they'll be able to get some music prepared for their television series or whatever. But that already exists to a certain extent. There's libraries that you can purchase to use prefab music. So I don't really think it's changing anything.
Okay, okay.
Fundamentally.
Yeah, I agree completely with you. Like we're gonna make them be kind of partners, or like a different genre maybe. I think that I'm really agree with you. So now on my third question, after recording over 100 Tiny Desk sessions, how would you describe the sound of the room itself? Not the musicians, but the space, its reverberation, its unique noises. How would you describe it?
I would describe it as, well, it's very quiet. You know, office environments, it's literally an office. It was not treated any differently for Tiny Desk, other than all of the knickknacks that everyone would bring to Bob Boylan. It's his desk, one of my dear, dear friends, who also has left the show in NPR. He's now would receive all these amazing different knickknacks and gifts that were on the shelves that were really designed to hold CDs. And then after CDs went away, people would just bring him different things to his desk to sort of add to the decoration. I think that certainly helps with the diffusion of the sound. However, it is an office environment with like, you know, a drop ceiling above the desk. And it's really designed to sort of deaden the room, because when you're in an open office plan, you know, it was designed relatively recently. That building, I think, came about in 2014, which is right about the time I started at Tiny Desk. So before that, Tiny Desk happened for the first 6 years from 2008 at an older building that wasn't quite as well treated for a live open office plan. So the space is very dead, but you can definitely hear the air handling. So I have to use tools like RX to get rid of, like, you know, vocal noise reduction, just to handle the sound of the air conditioning. If I have a very quiet artist, I don't know who comes to mind. A very quiet artist like Jay Som or Angie Schauf, you know, I would have to crank up the gain of their microphone so much that you can hear, you could definitely hear the air handling, especially in the warmer and the summer months. It was not silent. So I would use tools to combat that. And then once in a while, you know, the printer would start printing, which was just a couple of feet away from the desk. So sometimes I would try to manage that or just let it be. And then if you watch the Chance the Rapper Tiny Desk, there's actually an announcement that's made over the intercom system. And after that concert, we installed a switch that we could turn off the building paging system. And it was like, someone that has a package in the mailroom, please come to the mailroom. So if you go back and watch that Tiny Desk, it's during a very intimate portion of Chance the Rapper's Tiny Desk when he's reciting a poem, and then you hear this
finally stopped working. It's okay. I'll start over.
Now, I'm going to give you a follow-up question. And for example, you're telling me all this about these new Tiny Desks that you treated in the new buildings, so we can get like that sound. But I have some question, because there's some Tiny Desks that have some sequences or kind of, some sounds that come from computer. For example, the Tiny Desk from Imogen Heap, the one of when she sings Hide and Seek. I want to ask you, because in YouTube I can hear everything completely, but how did you manage that on the Tiny Desk session? There were speakers, or how was that handled? Yeah,
so I would often set up speakers like on either side of the desk. For a while, I would have KRKs just on stands that I would feed stuff. That would sort of be just out of the shot. Same with like Blue Man Group when I brought Blue Man Group in. But then I contacted my friends at Genelec and said, hey, I really want to install something a little bit more permanent. And I had 3 small Genelec monitors mounted above the desk on either side of the desk. There's actually 6 Genelec monitors focused out into the open office plan area, and I can pump any audio I wanted to, because I was using the Sound Devices field recorders, and those are really like a Swiss Army knife of audio recording that run on batteries, that have built-in backup files that I'm not recording to the computer, which is pretty rare these days in music. I don't like using a computer to capture audio. I like using dedicated field recorders and then do all the audio post-production in the computer, but not the recordings themselves.
Oh, that's interesting. What recorder were you using in that time?
Back then, for like Imogen Heap, I was probably using Sound Devices 788T, which I still use personally. You know, at the time, I bought it for like $6,000, maybe 6 years ago, 10 years ago. But since then, they've come out with the newer series from Sound Devices. So I got NPR to spend about 20 grand on the Scorpio, which allows for 16 channels of audio and preamps. But actually with Dante, because it has Dante, you can get up to 32 channels. So you'll need an external 16 preamps with Dante to get into the next 32 channels of the Scorpio. And I love that machine because it records to 2 internal compact flash cards and internal SSD simultaneously, all by running off dual batteries. So you never have to worry about losing power, for example. Your recorders will keep going, and you never have to worry about files being corrupted because you literally can print 3 sets of full multi-track files simultaneously.
Wow. You've sold me that equipment.
Yeah, I'm very paranoid as a journalist.
Yeah, of course.
You know, you have one chance to get it right because it's happening in real time. We don't have the luxury of telling an artist, we had a technical problem, we need to do the song again.
Yeah.
Or we missed the take. It happens, you know? So anything that I can do as an audio engineer to alleviate any potential catastrophes, I'm very on board with equipment that's designed for redundancy.
Okay. That's very interesting. So now I'm going to go for my fourth question. It's, well, one of my favorite Tiny Desk performance is one from Blake Mills in Pino Palladino. It was it was in one of the Tiny Desks from the home concerts. And actually, my question goes around that. So during that time...
Wait, who is it? Can you pull it up? I don't remember it.
Blake Mills.
So I did all of the mastering for the home concerts. I didn't do any of like the field recording itself.
Yeah.
And they may have sent me tracks to mix, but the name, if you could pull it up, I can't remember. Or I pick a different one because I don't remember. I did 800, so...
Okay, for example, the Dua Lipa home concert.
Sure.
Yeah. My question around that was if there was a session you wish you had been physically present in when it was recorded.
All the home concerts were during the pandemic, and I was forbidden to travel due to all of those problems. But I think it was a wonderful opportunity for the artists to create something different in the style of Tiny Desk.
Yeah.
With their own staff, with their own musicians, with their own audio engineers. Then they would send me the audio. I would master it to sort of maintain things like loudness and general EQ, things like this. And then we would put it out. So like for Billie Eilish and Phineas's, like it was super fun to work with them because they asked for a background of the set. I had gone into the building and I'd taken pictures to send to them, and then they literally printed out the Tiny Desk full size for their home concert. And I love the way Phineas mixed that too. Yeah,
that was great. But was there one when you were hearing it that you were like, oh, I wish I was there when it was recorded?
Yeah, I mean, certainly the Phineas and Billie Eilish, because I think that was really special, just the two of them.
Oh, okay.
Super intimate. I loved it. And of course the Dua Lipa. But I recorded Dua Lipa before. There's a series called Noteworthy that's on YouTube.
Yeah.
And in the Noteworthy series, I actually recorded Dua Lipa at my apartment in New York City.
That's great.
There's a photograph that we took up on the roof, and then I went to a little club and got to record her there, and before she was ever famous at all. And we went with her after her Jimmy Fallon appearance, which was the first time she had ever performed on television in the United States. We got to hang out in her and record a documentary with her, like what that experience was like. Her and her boyfriend dropped me off at this little restaurant in New York City that they were going to, and it was right by my neighborhood. They were super nice. And I just loved having that personal experience. And then we recorded a song of hers like on a rooftop in New York City in a hotel nearby my apartment. And I loved that experience. So I didn't feel that bad about missing out on Dua because I had worked with her before.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So now this will be my last question. Right now you've been going to lots of Mexican schools of audio, and I wanted to ask you something. Have you noticed any difference in the way Mexican students approach sound in terms of production mixing compared to students, I don't know, in maybe US or any other countries?
That's a great question, Luis. I think that I haven't had a lot of one-on-one time with students in Mexico, where they show me their work and we have like a listening session. In other schools in the United States, they have something called office hours where people could sign up for 10-minute session with me. They play me something of theirs and I can maybe give them some thoughts, or they ask me for professional advice. So I haven't had that here, but what I have noticed is every time I give a presentation here in Mexico, all the students are super enthusiastic and passionate about what they're doing, and I feel like very, very special to be here, to share my knowledge with the students, to spend time with everyone, and it's a really wonderful feeling. And I feel like the students here, specifically in Mexico, are much more passionate and excited to learn than in other places around the world where I've done this. I've done this in Australia, I've done this in the United States, and I love being in Mexico. I love that my parents are based in Baja California Sur, so I can come and spend more time in different Mexican cities. And of course, I'll see you at Soundcheck Expo, at Soundmasters, and I'm very much looking forward to spending more time discovering this incredible country that I've really sort of adopted as my second home.
Okay, well, thank you, Josh, for having this interview with us here in Colegio MAP.
Thank you, Colegio
we're really
MAP.
nerds. We're real fans from Tiny Desk and all of your work in Global Sound Concerts.
Thank you.
Y esto fue todo por el día de hoy. Muchas gracias, comunidad MAP. Muchas gracias a Josh Rogosin y nos vemos en la siguiente.